I decided if one of those massive feet were about to descend on any one of us, I would open fire. There might be a military argument for letting one of us die if the others were passed over. Anyone but Jill. But forget it. Not like that. As Fat Boy stumped slowly in our direction, I realized with a sinking feeling that it was another genetic experiment, copying the human form. The whole design was clearly functional. Another killer critter. But if they could make creatures this close to our basic body type, then they could do copies of us in time. As these thoughts raced through my mind, the thing took another ponderous step after another, coming closer and closer, allowing for inspection of its non-human qualities. The skin was like that of a rhinoceros. Feed this lumpkin an all-you-can-eat buffet with a discount coupon, and it might top out at half a ton. The bald head looked like a squashed football. The beady eyes took no note of us as it came within spitting distance. It had to be nearsighted. Now, if it were deaf and unable to smell, it might just miss us. Good news and bad. If Fat Boy continued walking a straight line, it would miss us all. Alas, Jill's Ultra Micro lay directly next to her, and the fatty was about to step on this critical piece of equipment. There wasn't time for anyone to do anything, except Jill. All she had to do was reach out with her right hand and grab it. I saw her raise her head and start to move her hand, but she froze. What if it saw her? With only a second to spare, she worked up her nerve and yanked the computer out of the way before the monster would have crushed it flat. By waiting so long, she solved her problem. The fatty couldn't see its own feet. The bulk of the vast stomach obscured Jill's quick movement. Fat Boy slogged on without further mishap. I was ready to heave a sigh of relief and clear my throat, maybe even enjoy a cough or two. Jill started to get up. Arlene and Albert weren't moving yet, waiting for the all clear from yours truly. I almost gave it when a blast of machine gun fire erupted from behind the fatty. I was too damn tired to curse. We could use a short rest before taking on new playmates. The fatty wasn't happy about the turn of events either. It screamed with a sound more pig-like than the Pinky Demons. The bullets sprayed in a steady stream, so many that some were surely penetrating that thick hide to disrupt vital organs. However deeply those organs were hidden underneath a stinking expanse of quivering flesh. As the machine gun cut the monster to ribbons, I heard bug-wild, crazy laughter, the kind made only by a human being. The laughter continued, the bullets continued, until at last the fatty made the transition from hamburger to roadkill. It made a wet, flopping sound, collapsed into itself, and died. We weren't playing statues while this was going on. Guns at the ready, firing positions, we faced what looked like another human being. A very large human figure. I almost called out, but I checked myself. Despite my gut-level joy at seeing another human, my innate suspicion held me back. After all, some real, live humans cooperated with the alien invasion. Sure, this guy shot the fatty. Maybe he was on our side, but we couldn't be sure of that. And if he didn't come into the alley, he wouldn't see us. The alley was in deep shadow, hidden from even the pallid green light of a reworked sky. Unfortunately, Jill was not a Marine. She was a young girl, and like most teenagers, she sometimes acted on autopilot. "You're a human!" she yelped. Then she stopped suddenly, hand over her mouth, as if trying to push the words back inside. She realized what she'd done. As to the consequences, she'd learn those in the next moment. So would the rest of us in the black alley. The figure lifted a hand to its head and flipped back a visor over its helmet. The face underneath seemed human enough, from what I could see. He wasn't smiling. Jill made as if she might run, but she was thinking again. She wouldn't lead him back to us. "It's all right, little girl," he said, scanning, trying to locate her. "I won't hurt you." He took a tentative step in her direction, and she held her ground, not making another sound. Silhouetted against the light gray wall of the carniceria, he was an impressive sight, but whose side was he on? This deep into enemy territory, we couldn't let anything compromise us, not even common sense or basic instincts. Fighting monsters was so black and white that there was something clean about it. This man was not a monster. Were we about to have the firefight of our lives? A new ally? Or a Mexican standoff? He didn't have a flash. Probably figured he wouldn't need one in the daylight such as it was. In a dark alley, however. Silently, slowly, I slid my pair of day-night goggles out of my webbing and slipped them on, flicking the switch as I did so. Now I could make out more of his gear. A 30 cal machine gun, belt-fed job, backpack full of ammo, radio gear, a flak jacket that screamed state-of-the-art body armor, and a U.S. Army Ranger uniform, staff sergeant. "Come on out, little girl. Let me see you. It's all right." He raised his hand as if scratching his chin stubble, but a crackling sound followed by a rumbling voice made it clear that he was talking into a handheld mic. I also saw one more twist. He had a pair of distended goggles himself on his helmet. Night viz goggles. They had to be. When Jill said nothing, he reached up for them. My heart pounded. As soon as he put them on, he would see all of us crouched in the shadows. As if she sensed the danger, or maybe she knew she'd blown it and was trying to redeem herself. Jill stepped forward into the faint illumination reflected from the dragon green sky by the pale wall of the Mexican meat market.
"Here I am, sir,"
she called. "Are you alone?" he asked. Jill was a trooper.
"Yes, sir. I'm alone, sir."
Slowly, the man lowered his machine gun right at her small, narrow tummy. The universe became a still picture of the man, the gun, Jill, and my hand tightened on the trigger of my Avenger. "Take it nice and easy," he told Jill. "You're coming to meet the boss."
"Who's that?"
she asked, her voice firm.
"We'll get along a lot better," he said. "If you get it through your head right now, bitch, that you don't ask the questions." "What if I don't want to go?" she asked. "Then I'll drop you where you stand," he answered. The machine gun had not shifted an inch. "Now, move it or lose it," he said. Jill moved all right, slowly and deliberately, so he wouldn't suspect anything. The gun followed her and the sergeant turned his back to the alley, and I guess that's what she intended all along, for she took a dive as soon as his body blocked the line of fire. I needed no second chance. Mr. Mystery Ranger didn't have the proper attitude toward little girls, not by a long shot. Unloading both barrels into the guy's back got his attention. Arlene opened fire with her AB-10. Between the two of us, we gave him a quick and effective lesson in good manners. He staggered, but managed to turn around. That armor of his was something. He started firing wildly while Arlene and Albert pumped more lead. I slammed 2 more shells home into my trusty duck gun and let them go into the son of a bitch's head. The fancy headgear cracked like a colorful Easter egg and spilled out its contents. Surprise! You're dead. None of us moved for at least a minute, listening for the sound of more aliens attracted by the noise.
There were no footsteps or nearby trucks, but we did hear sporadic gunfire in the distance. Probably zombies.
"Jill!"
Arlene called out. Jill returned with an expression that could only be described as sheepish. The girl was covered in dust, but didn't have a scratch on her.
"I'm sorry,"
Jill volunteered.
"I feel like a total dweeb."
The apology didn't save her from Arlene.
"That was a stupid mistake! You could have iced us all."
Defiantly, Jill turned to me. Daddy against Mommy. I didn't say a word. Didn't stop Arlene. Didn't change expression. Sorry, kid. I'm not gonna undermine my second, just to save your ego. I didn't think it was that dumb a mistake. She was just a kid. But Arlene had chosen to make it an issue. And whatever I thought, I'd back her to the hilt. Jill started to blink, angrily holding back tears. She turned to Albert, but he was suddenly really busy wiping his gun barrel. Well, about time she learned. No hero allowances, and I guess no kid allowances either.
"All right,"
she said, voice quavering.
What do you want me to do?"
Arlene stepped close, lowering her voice so I could barely hear it. "There's nothing you can do. You owe me, Jill, and before the mission is over, you're gonna pay." When Arlene stepped back, Jill's eyes were wide. The bravado and defiance were gone. She was scared to death of Arlene Sanders. The shock treatment seemed to work. Jill focused on something more important than her own shortcomings.
"God, is the mummy all right?"
While Albert and Jill went to check on our recruit from the Bandage Brigade, I did an inventory on the soldier with the lousy manners. Arlene joined me.
"Was he a traitor?"
she asked of the inert form at her feet.
"Or did we just kill a good guy?"
Or worse, AS. Is this that perfect genetic experiment we've been half expecting ever since Demos?
If he's number 3,
she said,
we'll have to give him a name."
She kicked the side of the machine guy with her boot.
"I'll call him Clyde."
"Clyde?" I asked, dumbfounded. That's worse than Fatty. It's just a name.
"Clyde,"
she declared, with the really irritating tone of voice she only uses when she makes up her mind and can't believe anybody would still be arguing. "But Clyde?" I repeated like a demented parrot. "Why not Fred or Barney or Ralph or Norton?" I suspected that I might be spinning out of control.
"For Clyde Barrow,"
she explained, and I still didn't get it.
"You know,"
she continued with the cultural literacy tone of voice,
"Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. Bonnie and Clyde."
"Oh," I said, finally ready to surrender. "Jesus H, that's really obscure." At the precise moment that I invoked the name of the Savior, good old Albert decided to rejoin us, reinforcing a theory I've had for years, that if you call on the gods, you are rewarded with a plague of believers. Not that I was thinking of Albert as part of a plague just then. The plague was out there, beyond us, where it belonged, in the heart of Los Angeles.